Welcome all sulfuric readers. We have today a very special long episode of Sulfur Salon.
My body is like a city, structured, refined, cubic, yet barren, without a soul. I crave the gaze of a village girl, stacking innocence in her alleyways, her blood smile bright as the sun's face, compiling itself in every step before it's recycled into the jobs of the city and the restless nights of civilization. Her steps dance with the energy of
Hager
looking
Yossef.
back.
Okay.
So we're going to be
Yet
diving
she
into this
turns
collection
toward
of
the
poems.
past
Yeah.
with
And,
eyes fixed on
I was really
tomorrow,
struck by like the way she just kind of like
unbothered
throws
by
you
the
into this
heavy
world of
meanings
like
printed in
surrealism
school
and like
books.
experimental imagery.
Yeah, her work's really fascinating, I think, in how she uses surrealism to kind of like make us rethink the everyday world in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about pretty metaphors, it's about
Yeah.
kind of using that to make a point and make us re-examine things.
And I noticed that right away, like in The Sky Gives Birth to Clouds,
Right.
where she's talking about plates becoming like open eyes that are searching for like an absent you.
Yeah,
And it just makes you stop and think like, wait, plates, what's going on here?
exactly. It's that disorientation, but it's also like thought-provoking.
Yeah.
You know, by taking something so mundane like plates and giving it this like, unexpected agency.
Right.
She's making us think about this idea of longing and absence in a totally different way.
It's like she's saying that even like inanimate objects can like hold emotional weight.
Yes.
And she does this a lot like throughout the book, where she's kind of like twisting these familiar objects and concepts to create this sense of unease, almost like you've stepped into a dream.
Right. And that's like a key element of surrealism, right? Like
Yeah.
tapping into that subconscious,
Yeah.
blurring the lines between reality and dreams.
And it definitely has that dreamlike quality, but there's also like this real rawness and vulnerability to the language.
Absolutely.
It's not just about like creating these strange images for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Feels like she's grappling with some like deep emotional truths.
I agree completely. Take Perhaps, for example.
Okay.
It tackles these like big universal themes, like the power of words and the persistence of childhood memories
Yeah.
and like these fragile connections between people.
Uh-huh.
But she doesn't shy away from the like darker side of these themes.
No, she doesn't. And there's that one line that really stood out to me. It's
about like the womb of pain dwelling in the wilderness of your hands.
Right.
And it's so striking because it like gives this physical form to this abstract concept of pain.
Yeah,
It's almost like you can feel the weight of it.
totally. And that physicality is something that comes up a lot in her work.
Yes.
The body itself becomes like a central image, like a canvas for exploring all these complex emotions.
And you see that in a body like a city, right?
Yes.
Where she compares the body to like a structured and refined,
Right.
but also barren cityscape.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about how we can feel alienated from our own bodies, especially like in the midst of modern life.
It's like she's suggesting that like those same forces that shape our cities, like progress in industry
Yeah.
technology, they also shape our bodies
Right.
and oftentimes leave us feeling disconnected and empty.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like she's using these surreal images to comment on the human condition
Yes.
in a way that's both personal and universal.
That's the power of her work. I think it operates on these multiple levels.
Uh-huh.
It's both deeply personal and also profoundly philosophical at the same time.
And it's not just about the images themselves.
Right.
It's also about how she's using language.
Yeah.
She's not just describing things.
Uh-huh.
She's creating new meanings.
Exactly. Like take suspended lips, for instance.
Okay.
Instead of just describing lips in like a conventional way,
Yeah.
she presents them as these like multifaceted objects. They can be like flowers for lovers, coins for the poor, and dreams for the lost.
It's such a strange but beautiful image.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize how limited our everyday language can be.
Exactly.
And Yossef seems to be pushing beyond those limitations,
Mm-hmm.
creating a language that's like more fluid and evocative.
She's definitely playing with language, bending it to her will
Yeah.
to create these like surprising and thought-provoking effects.
It's almost like she's inventing her own language. One that's better equipped to express, like, the complexities of human experience.
And in doing so, she's inviting us to, reconsider our own relationship with language, to see it not just as a tool for communication, but as a way of,
Right.
shaping our understanding of the world.
And maybe even like a way of transforming ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating how she takes these, everyday words and, imbues them with new meaning, She's not afraid to break grammatical rules or, invent new words or just use language in ways that challenge our expectations.
Yeah, and it's not even just the words themselves. It's like the way she arranges them on the page.
Oh, yeah.
The visual layout of her poems plays a role, too.
Right.
Like those pauses and breaks created by white space, they feel very deliberate.
You're right. It's like she's giving us time to breathe.
Yeah.
And absorb the imagery and let it sink in.
Yeah.
And then she'll hit us with a line that just completely shifts our perspective.
Like in the distance is but a blink.
Yes.
When she compares the vastness of longing to a tsunami swallowing everything.
Right.
And then suddenly it vanishes like a mouth on a mouth.
Oh.
That unexpected shift from grand scale to intimate closeness.
Yeah.
It's jarring, but it's also incredibly effective.
It really is. It speaks to that paradoxical nature of human connection.
Yeah.
How something as simple as a shared glance or a kiss
Right.
can bridge even the most immense emotional distances.
And I also notice how she often uses enjambment, like cutting lines off unexpectedly and carrying the meaning over to the next line.
Yeah.
It creates this sense of anticipation, like you're not quite sure where she's going to take you next.
It mimics the way our thoughts flow, right?
Yeah.
They don't always follow a linear path.
Right.
There are jumps and digressions and moments of clarity and moments of confusion.
And even the way she uses punctuation, or sometimes the lack of punctuation,
Yes.
feels very intentional.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like she's controlling the flow of the poem, the way we read and experience it.
Exactly. She's playing with the rhythm and the pacing.
Yeah.
Creating these pauses and surges of energy that keep us engaged.
And then there's her use of imagery, which we've touched on.
Yes.
But it's worth highlighting just how original and evocative it is.
It's incredible.
It's like she's tapping into some collective unconscious,
Yeah.
drawing from this well of archetypes and symbols
Right.
that resonate on a deep primal level.
There's a definite surrealist influence there.
Yeah.
But she also blends in elements of myth and folklore
Right.
and personal experience. It creates this rich tapestry of meaning that's both familiar and strange.
And I'm especially drawn to the way she depicts the body.
Oh, yes.
It's not just a physical presence, it's a landscape of emotion.
right.
A site of transformation and often a battleground.
That ties back to the idea of surrealism as a means of exploring the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
The body becomes this metaphor for the inner self,
Right.
with all its complexities and contradictions.
In a body like a city, the city becomes this external representation of the speaker's internal state.
Yes.
The place that's structured and ordered,
Right.
yet also barren and devoid of genuine connection.
It speaks to that tension between our desire for order and control
Yeah.
and our longing for authenticity and genuine connection.
And wall before a mirror.
Yes.
Such a powerful image of isolation and self-scrutiny.
Absolutely.
The body becomes this barrier,
Right.
separating the speaker from the world outside.
Like she's trapped within her own physicality,
Yeah.
unable to fully connect with others or even with herself.
And then there are poems where the body is fragmented, almost disintegrating under the weight of emotion.
Right?
Like in the poem where she describes her body existing in 3 states of matter,
Oh, wow.
shifting between solid, liquid, and gas,
Yeah.
depending on the nature of touch.
It's such a visceral way of expressing how emotions can impact our physical experience.
Yeah.
Like grief can feel heavy, love can feel fluid.
Right.
And fear can feel like it's evaporating us from the inside out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's using the language of science and physics
Yes.
to explore these deeply personal emotional states.
And there's also this element of trauma and healing that emerges in her portrayal of the body.
Like in the poem where she describes battles waged within her blood cells,
Right.
leaving all of us as casualties.
It's a stark and powerful image of the lasting impact of trauma,
Yeah.
how it can seep into every cell of our being.
But even in the face of such profound pain,
Yeah.
there's this sense of resilience
Yes.
of the body's remarkable capacity for regeneration and renewal.
Absolutely.
It's like she's showing us that even the most wounded parts of ourselves can heal, can be transformed.
And that transformation isn't just personal, it has a social dimension as well.
Oh, yeah. There's a clear awareness of the body politic in Yossef's work,
Yes,
of the ways in which our bodies are shaped and impacted by larger social and political forces.
definitely.
You see that in poems where she talks about the city, about civilization,
Right.
about the way our bodies bear the marks of the jobs of the city and the restless nights of civilization.
It's a reminder that we're not just individuals.
Yeah.
We're part of a larger system
Right.
that exerts its influence on us.
And that system isn't always benevolent.
Right. She critiques the ways in which bodies are objectified, commodified, and controlled.
Like in the poem where she talks about an accusing finger and an arrogant tip of a nose.
Yes.
It's a subtle but powerful act of defiance.
Yes.
A refusal to be silenced or objectified.
It's a reclaiming of the body as a site of agency and resistance.
Yeah.
And it's through this like multifaceted exploration of the body
Correct.
that she's able to tap into these universal themes of vulnerability and resilience and the search for connection.
It's like she's using the body as a microcosm of the human experience.
Yes.
A lens through which to examine the complexities of our existence. It's amazing like how she weaves these philosophical threads through like her exploration of the body.
Yeah.
You know, she takes something so familiar, so grounded in like our physical reality and elevates it to like a metaphysical plane.
Yes. There's this fascinating interplay between the physical and the metaphysical in her work.
Yeah.
The body isn't just flesh and bone.
Right.
It becomes a vessel for the soul, you know, a site of like spiritual yearning.
Like in the poem where she describes the body as a sorrowful prison.
Right.
That's longing for something beyond its physical limitations.
Yeah, it speaks to that universal desire to transcend our earthly constraints.
Yeah, and that yearning extends beyond the individual body, right?
Absolutely.
Connecting to like the larger human experience, the body politic.
Yes.
You see this in poems where she reflects on the city civilization, the ways our bodies bear the imprint of societal forces,
Yeah.
the jobs of the city and the restless nights of civilization.
It's a reminder that our personal struggles are often intertwined with these larger systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And within that context, she also finds ways for the body to resist,
Yes.
to push back against those forces.
There's that striking image of an accusing finger and an arrogant tip of a nose.
Right.
You know, just this subtle but powerful act of defiance.
It's like she's reclaiming the body as a tool for expressing dissent, for speaking truth to power.
Yes, and ultimately her exploration of the body is a celebration of its inherent complexity,
Right.
you know?
It's this reminder that our bodies are not just objects to be admired or scrutinized, but the very foundation of our lived experience in the world.
And Yossef uses language to heighten our awareness of this.
Yeah.
You know, she plays with words, she stretches their meanings,
Yeah.
pushes them to their limits to make us truly see and feel the body in all its multifaceted glory.
It's like she's inviting us to reconsider our relationship with our own bodies,
Yeah.
to see them with fresh eyes, to appreciate their intricate connection to our emotional and spiritual selves.
So as we come to the end of our deep dive into lemon language,
Yeah.
what resonates most with you? What will you carry forward from this exploration?
I think for me, it's the realization that Yossef's poetry isn't just about beautiful images
Right.
or clever wordplay. It's about grappling with the big questions of existence. You know,
Yeah.
questions of identity, connection, our place in the universe.
Absolutely.
And she does it in a way that's both deeply personal and universally relatable.
I agree. It's that blend of the personal and the universal, the physical and the metaphysical, that makes her work so compelling.
Yeah.
She challenges us to look inward, to examine our own bodies and souls, and to find meaning in the spaces between the words.
She leaves us with this sense of wonder, this desire to explore those spaces further,
Yeah.
see the world and ourselves with a renewed sense of curiosity and possibility.
And perhaps to find the poetry in our own everyday lives,
Yeah.
to recognize the surreal within the mundane, and give voice to the unspoken emotions that reside within us all.
Exactly. Hager Yossef's lemon language is a gift, a call to awaken our senses,
Yeah.
to embrace the complexities of our existence and to find beauty in the most unexpected places.
Beautifully said.